Hello and welcome to LSJ News. I'm Sam Harris with your latest stories in Lincoln. Significant rainfall in Wainfleet has caused erosion of the relief channel bank, according to the Norfolk County Council. Colonel Colin Davey has warned it to be the worst flooding we've ever seen in the country. He also went on to say that the council is finding out what caused it and how to reduce the risk of it happening again. Locals have been advised to protect their communities by monitoring their local environment. $1 million has been raised in additional funding to assist people in housing for 105 people, assisting 171 people in mental health and 42 rough sleepers. A year ago, the Ministry of the Housing Communities and Local Governments of Lincoln created an initiative to help rough sleepers in Lincoln. The housing support workers are now working to ensure an effective stay in temporary accommodation and permanent tenancy. According to a crime survey for England and Wales, 1 in 5 women and 1 in 10 men have experienced stalking. Lincolnshire Police have introduced a Stalking Protection Act in order to combat this problem and make the community safer. The Stalking Protection Act goes live today as a safeguarding measure and to protect citizens and alleviate stalking cases in the area. We all know climate change is a serious topic, and governments around the world have been meeting to debate how to reduce the world's emissions, and it seems that the government has taken aim at cars powered by any form of internal combustion. Now, following on from those discussions, our reporter Andrew Norris went to a local car dealer to explain the proposed changes.
Every year, the UN hosts an event dedicated to talking about climate change. This year's event, COP26, was held in Glasgow on Tuesday, and Boris Johnson made a very surprising announcement. He promised that the UK would ban sales of new petrol, diesel and hybrid cars by 2035, some 5 years earlier than the previously announced rule by Theresa May in 2017. The surprising part about the new ban is that hybrid cars will also now be banned under the new legislation, meaning that customers will only be able to choose from cars powered by electricity or hydrogen. But why have the government decided to ban petrol, diesel and now hybrid cars? The answer can be found in the amount of pollution created by traditional vehicles powered by internal combustion. Both petrol and diesel engines produce the harmful gas nitrogen oxide, which can cause serious respiratory issues in high concentrations. Diesel-powered cars produce the most nitrogen oxide emissions, and they usually offer lower outright performance, but better fuel economy. Next up are petrol engines, which traditionally give better performance, but have lower nitrogen oxide emissions and lower fuel economy. Hybrid cars were designed to bridge the gap between petrol and diesel engines by adding a battery and electric motor to petrol engines in order to provide better fuel economy and therefore lower emissions. So with hydrogen and battery powered cars looking to become the new normal, I've come to a car dealership in Lincoln to find out about electric cars.
Well, I've been a driver of an electric car for a couple of years now. I've been on quite long journeys with them, had to charge at rapid chargers at motorway services and things like that, and I love them. I think they're brilliant. I find that it's just easier to just get out of the house and go.
Electric cars can use 2 forms of propulsion to power their electric motor. Hydrogen cars use a chemical reaction between hydrogen and oxygen, and as a result, the only emission is water. Meanwhile, the most commonly known form of electric car is a battery-powered car like this Leaf. These use battery packs mounted in the floor to power the electric motor, meaning that there aren't any emissions produced by the car itself. So we've been told that the future is in electric cars, but can the UK's grid cope with the incoming wave of electricity? Statistics from the Department of Transport show that by October last year, there were only 30 charging stations in Lincoln, and only 2 of those were fast chargers, despite last year, sales of electric cars increasing by over 200%. And while electric cars may not produce any emissions on the road, they rely on heavily polluting power stations and use batteries, including cobalt, which is a heavily mined resource. So is the future of electric cars really as green as we've been promised? Andrew Norris, LSJ Weekly.
That was Andrew Norris reporting. Yesterday, Lincoln City announced plans to expand the Stacey West stand at the LNER Stadium. The planned expansion will see the stand increase from around 1,900 to 3,400 capacity. This will see the ground's total capacity increase to over 11,500. An official date for the redevelopment has yet to be announced. LGBT History Month is being celebrated throughout the month of February, which highlights the history of the people behind LGBT rights. The annual event began in 1994 over in the United States and has since migrated to other countries, but is not yet celebrated worldwide. Our reporter Grace Thompson brought the awareness event a little closer to home by finding out how young people in Lincoln kicked off the month.
February marks the start of LGBT History Month, which is celebrated in Hungary, the United States, Australia and here in the United Kingdom. I've come to the University of Lincoln Students' Union to find out how they're celebrating. The student-led group runs as part of the campaigns network here at the university and creates multiple campaigns throughout the year. This year's committee is led by second-year student Jacob Ford, who has been the LGBT+ officer for the last 2 years.
Sort of the thing we're trying to get the most is getting student feedback, because all of us that sort of work within the campaigns network have our own experiences, but it doesn't necessarily sort of represent all the students. It doesn't necessarily cover their experiences. So sort of getting that feedback, seeing what we can work on, and just making students feel included. Little things like raising the flag outside of the Students' Union is sort of like a symbol that we are representing, we are supporting, and that this is a safe space.
Events are being held across the month which are set to support those from different communities and groups with the aim of bringing the student community closer together. The opening discussion event was supported by the LGBT+ committee as well as special guest Princess Lauren Tamu, who represents Black, Asian and minority ethnicity students across Lincoln.
I think just so students and staff see that they're represented, so that it is about the students. We are here for the students, we wouldn't be here without the students. So I think for students to feel welcomed when they come to university and to feel like they're included in a part of a bigger society within their university is really important.
The university will be supporting the campaign group for the rest of February and we'll be catching up at the end of the month to see how they got on. Grace Thompson, LSJ Weekly.
And that was Grace Thompson. Over £1 million has been invested into the Lincolnshire coastline over the past 10 years. The 5-mile strip of land between Chapel Street, Leonards and Sandylands has been made into a local nature reserve, along with a 16-mile stretch of land being opened along the coastal path. The investment is part of a scheme to allow the public to access the country's entire coastline. Patients can get their knee replaced in a single day thanks to a new method of surgery performed by Lincolnshire hospital teams. The reduced recovery time is made possible by prior appointments with physiotherapists and short-acting anaesthetics which wear off faster, making for an earlier recovery. It is believed that this practice will become the norm for most regular knee replacements carried out at Grantham, with more complex cases being carried out at Lincoln County Hospital. And now for your LSJ Sport Weekend Review with Ben Chader.
Thanks, Sam. Lincoln City face Accrington Stanley at the Crown Ground this afternoon. The Imps go into the game having not won in their last 5 wins while Stanley have won their last 2. This form has led to them nervously looking over their shoulder at the relegation zone. Lincoln will be out Joe Morrell through suspension, with Max Melbourne set to replace him at left back, meaning Taya Edun could be moved into the midfield.
Yeah, I mean, you never say never, but I suppose, the ball's in their court, so to speak, they'll continue to train and stay fit and stay as fit as they possibly can. But like you say, we've got lots of options in them areas and people that I hope, some of them, to be with us for a long, long time, so going forward, I think it's important to stay true to what we're about and what we're going to do, and be as honest and respectful as we possibly can, which I have been since the day I walked through the door.
And in non-league football, the highly anticipated lower half of the table clash between Sutton Coldfield Town and Lincoln United kicks off at 3 p.m. at the Central Ground Stadium. Lincoln go into the clash off the back of 2 league defeats in a row, as Sutton look to continue their hot run of form with 3 wins in their last 5 matches. This last meeting saw Sutton come out with a 2-1 victory against the Whites, meaning Sutton look to be favourites to win this tie.
And now for your weather. Today has been a fairly windy day as we start to see the effects of Storm Dennis hitting Lincoln. We've also seen some heavy rain, which is expected to stay throughout the rest of the day as temperatures hit highs of 13 degrees. Moving into tonight, that heavy rain and wind we've been seeing throughout the day looks set to continue as temperatures drop to 8 degrees. And finally, to finish off your weekend, tomorrow will start off the same with heavy rain and strong winds, but you can expect to see this begin to ease into the afternoon, where we should see some sunny spells to round off your Sunday afternoon, before we head back into the rain with thunderstorms and hail expected tomorrow. Expected tomorrow evening as temperatures hit highs of 9 degrees. And that's all for now. Don't forget you can keep up to date with us on social media. You can follow us on Twitter at LSJ Tweets, or you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at LSJ News TV. Have a good evening. Goodbye for now.